Hi, I'm Adam from Smartbox, and I'm here to spend a few minutes just to talk to you about some of the customization and accessibility features which are available in our new Look Lab software. So, one of the things that we have to think about when we are developing a piece of software such as Look Lab is through experience knowing how some of our users respond to different types of activities and some of the things they want to do with them. So, whether that is building engagement for somebody who's using eye gaze or another pointing device for the very first time, or whether they just want to explore and have fun and learn through doing and be motivated by doing. So we have developed a range of different activities to try and help with that. So let's dig in and have a quick look. So first of all, you can see there are 5 categories, and that will be covered in other videos in this series. And then there's a favorites area where you can park all of your favorite activities too. And throughout these 40 or so activities which make up these categories, there's different activities for different wants and needs. So from someone who is an older user who just wants some mindfulness activities, some opportunities to chill out, some opportunities to explore and just relax, to someone who likes the challenge of gameplay, um, or to somebody who wants to beat their highest score, or to play with a friend and beat their highest score, or perhaps somebody who is, as already discussed, learning to use perhaps eye gaze for the very first time and trying to overcome some of the barriers that presents. So, with that, I'm going to think about some of the users that we work with. And I want to talk a little bit for a moment about somebody who is a very experienced eye gaze user. Um, she uses a high cell count communication grid day in, day out, all day long. So she's got good stamina, but she wants something where she can perfect her accuracy, learn her eye gaze skills. And so she likes something that is strategic, makes her have to think, but also something that is fun and fast and lets her demonstrate and keep her eye gaze skill attuned to fast movement and accurate movement. So let's start by having a look at a puzzle game. So I'm going to have a look at Mouse Maze. And in this activity, I'm using standard mode, so I'm being challenged. And I'll go into level 1. Okay, so here, this is a thinking game. This is a strategic activity. There's no time pressure. But one of the things that she's already finding distracting is the music. She's not a particular fan of the music here. So we can go to pause. She can come to options. She's an independent user. So at the moment, she's got the ability to move around herself, but we can go into the sound and display options and into the sound options. And she's just going to choose to turn the music off, but keep the effects on. And if I go to accessibility and into restrictions, she is somebody who is an independent user. She wants that ability to go to options herself, to turn the music on and off on particular activities, and to have full navigational control. Later on, we'll talk about other users who we may want to think about more guided access to activities. So now let's go back to Mouse Maze. We've turned the music off. And the idea here is, and it starts easy and gets much harder, I promise you, is eat the cheese to get out of the room. So I have to think. There's no time pressure. I can take as long as I like, but I have to know, understand that I have to navigate to eat the cheese. Okay, I have to collect the key, and then I have to escape. All looks nice and easy so far. quickly show you level 2, and you'll see that quite quickly things are going to get more challenging. Okay, so this time we have to eat the cheese, but it's not always lying directly into our path. So we have to think about how to get that next piece of cheese. Okay, so we might want to think about how on earth it is we're going to get this piece of cheese. And I've worked it out. I've got to use this wall to help me. So I've got the cheese. Now I've got to get the key. That's a bit more straightforward. And I can escape. Okay. So I won't go on, but hopefully you can see how the level of difficulty with obstacles in the way is going to gradually get more difficult. Okay, now we'll talk about someone different. Let's go back and talk about a young boy who has some visual difficulties. He's also, again, just on his early journeys of using AAC and assistive technology. And we wanted to think about something where he could explore initially without failing. Just look at the screen, see things happening, and then use that and use these tools and these activities to develop opportunities to also practice his communication skills and his choice making. Now, one of the things that would be a step too far at the moment is the idea that he can navigate anywhere he likes. So at the moment, I'm focusing on just eye gaze engagement and using the whole screen. So I'm going to come into the control area to start with. I'm going to think about whether we are using what dwell time we're using. And at the moment, we're going to not worry too much about the dwell time because we're going to practice the actual game and allow somebody else to help with the navigation. So I'm going to come into the restrictions and I'm going to go back to guided control. Now this means that he needs someone to support him to open the game, but we're not making selections, unintended selections as we go along. So I'm now clicking to move through. I also want to think a little bit about something that will reduce the visual display. So I'm going to show you my activity and then we'll begin to manipulate how it looks visually on the screen. So this time I'm going to go into a mindfulness activity. I want something where we can see how he reacts to the screen. He begin to practice moving all over the screen because he has got that visual difficulty and he does struggle with fast moving stimuli and objects on the screen. And I want to explore how that's impacting him and what might help him. So here's a quick activity based on popping bubble wrap. So we're going to come into something that is at easy mode. So each of these activities will have an easy and standard mode. And usually that will simplify the activity. So note this is more of a cause and effect activity. Screen engagement, looking to make something happen, the idea that we can practice our exploration, but also work on building our skills about keeping our gaze on one object, one small part of the screen at a time. Okay, so the idea here is I just have to pop a bubble, so quite straightforward. But one of the things to notice here is I haven't got any busy background. We've removed all the busy backgrounds. And for contrast, you'll also see there, by the way, that the shapes at which I'm being asked to move my gaze point around the screens are changing too. If I just go back a step and into options, just give you that example of in accessibility. If we just go to a more detailed view, you'll see the difference. So I've gone over to standard, and immediately you can see the more busy experience that I'm having to face. And for someone with a visual impairment, this might be much more challenging. I've got different sized targets, I've got different contrasts going on, some of which will be really difficult. And so on. But there's no time restraint. It might be that we are doing really, really well in this part of the screen, but we're struggling further more with the left-hand side of the field of the screen. So just returning back to easy mode, and you see that difference one more time. Okay, no fail, just explore, encourage to look all the way around the screen. Are we missing anywhere? We might need to help. We might need to pop a bubble. We might need to think and make a note to ourselves that perhaps struggle a little bit with that top left area. And so on. Okay. So in each case, after each activity, we can have a look and perhaps reduce the amount of of auditory stimuli if we think that's something that's impacting. So we can come into here, we can say, take the effects off, reduce the volume if appropriate. Sometimes we just want to focus on and see how someone is responding to the visual stimuli on the screen. We can also think about recording where it was that he looked. How long did we take? Where was he able to see on the screen? And the hotter the colour, the longer he was looking at the screen. So we can begin to see whether there are any gaps there, and then anything that we might need to work on, and look for activities where we have got stimuli in certain areas and not in others, and so on. Okay, I'm going to go back and visit Hoops, but we're just going to look again at some of the options that we can use to help. So I'm going to come into options, check my accessibility options. I want to use a minimal visual display. So I don't want a busy background. I want a nice sharp dark background with a sharp high contrast, reduce distractions. And let's go into Hoops. I'm going to play this on easy mode. And the first thing to note is no background. The hoop is much larger. There's no scorecard. So it's just practicing moving left to right. Can we track that moving object? Remember, it's an opportunity to practice that skill, tracking that moving object, and then realizing that we have to move the hoop to make sure that we don't miss. But if we do miss, that's okay. Just picks up and goes again. Okay. Now it might be that at any point they want to nip in and out of their communication grids. So we've got this handy little button here that we can nip into our communication grid. And it might be that he is ready to tell me that he wants to do something different.
Something different.
Okay, so we can return to Look Lab. So he's already practicing his skills with his cells. It might be now that I'm ready to say, okay, let's also practice a bit of navigating within Look Lab. So at this point, this might be a point in time when I'm going to come into options, I'm going to go into accessibility, and I'm going to visit restrictions one more time and just move him up so that he can navigate now within Look Lab itself and move to grid as well, whatever he wants to. So now he's able to say, I want more. And he can return to Look Lab and continue his game playing. Okay, so that was a few minutes just spent thinking about some of the accessibility options that are available within Look Lab. There's also probably just a good moment to finish off by mentioning the integration there with Grid that I'll show you. There'll be more on that in a future video, but also to say that if you're looking for more help and resources on any of the things I've shown you. Within options, you've got this, you can go to help. You've got a link to the hub where there's lots of articles and also about Look Lab, and also where you can go to get the latest updates. Okay, I hope that was useful. Thanks ever so much. Thanks for listening.